Has your mineral blush ever gone from 0 to clown cheeks in just one tap? Well, I'm going to show you how to apply it correctly and then how to fix it if you've already put on too much or if you just put it in the wrong place. Hey, this is Francesca from Adorned with Grace. Today we're going to talk about blush and how to apply it. So this may be basic for some of you that are already familiar with applying mineral blush. And if that's the case, you can just scroll along and find another video that may be more suited to you. But if you're not familiar with mineral blush, especially the loose mineral powder blushes, then you may need to have just a quick tutorial on how to apply it correctly so you don't put on too much. Because especially with Adorned with Grace blushes, we tend to have very highly pigmented blushes and you really can go to clown face. But the good thing about that is with the high pigmentation, it will last longer on your skin and you don't need a whole lot, so you don't have to keep buying it. And I think that's a plus for anybody. And so what we're going to talk about mainly first is the kind of brushes you would need. Now, if you have watched some of my other tutorials I've done, you know that I just love my dual fiber brushes, and I use the ones that are like the mini version. And so I have two versions that I use. This one right here that has more of the rounded handle. I do still sell this on Adorned with Grace. I have quite a few. So unless I just had a major sellout, after this video, I should still have plenty of these. And these were specially made. These are synthetic bristles, I believe. And you can see the thing with the dual fiber brushes is that they have a longer, like white bristle, and that's what picks up the product. And then there's the black that fills in the spaces, because if you can see see if I can get close to the camera here, where you can see how there's spaces in between. And so that way, when you're picking up product, it's not depositing a lot of color, and it's able to put it on a little more subtly than your typical blush brush. And then this one is just another one that I carry. The supplier that I had, I think they quit making these for whatever reason, but I think these actually have, I'll have to double check, but I think these may just be cruelty free. I don't remember if they did use I think they've used like goat hair before, but this is another one I have, and they work pretty similar. And of course, I'm partial to my brush. And then the other brush that you can use is something that's got a bit of a taper. Now, in my mineral makeup book, which I talk about the kinds of brushes that are good for blush, they kind of describe more of like it's more of an angular. I personally don't, it's hard to find some of those, and especially ones that I like. I personally like the ones that are just tapered like this. But the reason why I like it tapered is you can see how it's a little bit smaller, and compared to the head, it's somewhat similar, so that when you're putting it on your cheeks, you're not getting a whole lot of product at once, because this is a powder brush. And if you can see, it's just a whole lot more than you can really put a whole lot. So unless you've got a really, really big face where, you got want to put a lot of color, you don't want anything quite this big. And so I like the ones that have the taper. And then so that way, if you did just want to use the tip of it, just to put just a little bit here, or if you just want to angle it and put it like that, especially when you want to define along your cheekbone, this is a great brush to have. And this probably also would work great for any kind of bronzers, but I already did a video on that, on how to add dimension back to your face using bronzer and highlighter. So you can catch that one later on. But yeah, this is another one that I would recommend. I have a few of these left in my store, but if not, I've seen plenty similar brushes to this, like on Amazon, if you'd rather choose to get it there. But I just have it available at my store, not so much to make money, but sometimes my customers, they prefer to get stuff that is all in one place. And I think they know they can trust me to get stuff that is cruelty free. And then anything new that I add to my store, it will be vegan or synthetic. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is how to actually apply it. So when you do mineral blush, because it is a powder, you don't want to apply it when your skin still feels tacky or wet. So let's say maybe you don't use mineral foundation, but maybe you use like a liquid foundation, or sometimes some people like to use like a cream blush or a bronzer or something before. And what I would just do is make sure that it is dry, because it will get kind of pasty and muddy before you put on your blush. And so always put it on like your dry skin. Okay, and then the best way to do it is, okay, now I don't have my sifter on, but if I had my sifter, I'd say tap just a teeny tiny bit. When I say tiny bit, I mean like truly a tiny bit. In fact, I'm just gonna use the lid here. It has like enough that you could use what's on here to put on your blush. So I'm gonna get my dual fiber, this one here, and then the way that you do it, it's you just lightly tap it on there. And with the cloud that I don't know, I see it, I don't know if you guys see it, it picks up enough product, and then you can see how there's some on there. It not necessarily covered all of them, but you really don't want that much. And then so all I do is, now your placement, we can have another video on this if you all want to, but I usually just put mine, I put mine a little bit higher, because according to makeup rules, if you put it higher, it lifts your face up. Or if you just want like a pop of color, just the apple of your cheeks. And I've always been told like right here, but if you want a little bit more definition, you can put it up there. So that's where we're gonna do it. So I'm gonna look here in my mirror behind my camera, and I just lightly stipple it on. So you can see it's very light right now, and especially under the lights, but it's applying it very gently. And if you know the philosophy I have with even my blush, with my foundation, it's so much better to put it on when you just do like small amounts of it at a time, even if it takes you a little bit longer, just so it looks more natural and more like skin. Yeah, but for me, this is enough blush. Now, what I'm gonna do here in a second is I will show you what it looks like if I put it on with something heavier. I'm gonna use it with that white brush I was showing you. But yeah, and then if I want it on the apple of my cheeks, kind of slightly smile, don't smile really big, but I can just put it there. And you can see, it's just very, very easy to do. Okay, so now, big don't. This will be fun. I'm gonna use, like I said, this brush. It's got a huge head, especially compared to this one. Man, that's a lot. And then we're gonna try to figure out how to correct it. Okay, so I'm gonna shake this. I'm even gonna do the bad thing and maybe put too much pigment on it, okay? And this is how you get clown face really quickly. Okay, well this one, if you do it like foundation, you just do the tap and swirl. Okay, and then now we're just gonna put it. Now that's already, I can tell that's a lot. You can see the difference of they have almost the same, it was the same amount of work, but this kind of brush just deposits so much more, right? So you can see the big difference. And I didn't even have to work a whole lot to get this much. Okay, so now the fun part is, how do we fix it? Okay, the first thing that you can do is you can put your own mineral foundation over it. Now, I don't recommend really you can buff it in, and that may work, but you can see there's quite a bit of pigment still left. And all it ends up doing is it just spreads it, and it may even darken it to a degree, especially after it oxidizes with your skin. So I just get my mineral foundation, and then I put just a light layer on. You don't want a whole lot, because we do try to avoid that cakey look, and anytime you put on too much foundation, it will look cakey. Okay, so just tap, and then you can just put it over. And it's still darker than this side, but it looks a whole lot better. And that's what I like. I feel like it's pretty easily fixable. And then ta-da, that's all you really have to do. Okay, and then the other thing that is just a little bit of a trick. So if you do have, if you feel like, okay, I keep putting on too much, and even if you use one of these, or maybe if you don't have one of these and you're stuck having to use one of this, the other trick that I do is that I use this product. It's called my Celestial Silkening Powder. I actually made it for those that wanted more of a glow in their foundation. But I also realized you can use it for diluting some of your colors that are too heavy. And so one of the things that I would do is if you have your foundation, there's already a few bit of grains there, then you take this and you just add a little bit. You don't even have to add a whole lot, but just think about just lightening it, because this is about just a little bit more than what that blush has in there. So it's about maybe 1 to 1. And then let's say we'll put this one on again. So I'm gonna try it on this side of my face, and then we'll just do the tap and swirl. And while it's tapping and swirling, it will automatically mix the colors together. Now, let me do this for you too. You can see, like on my hand, oops, it lightens it quite a bit. Now, if you were to put it on, even with the stipple brush, let's see. I don't have enough on my stipple brush, but yeah, but this is why I like the stipple brush, because you can even see it still does it fairly lightly. But if we were to put it on full strength, it's like what happened to my face here. But yeah, having this lightened up with the Celestial Silkening Powder, it'll put it on lighter too. And then it already put it on lighter on my hand there. So that's another trick you can do. And then other people, they will use their foundation. The only word of caution there is it may change the color a little bit, even though, you know, you have your foundation on your face. But if you want like to keep the true hue of the color, I think the Celestial Silkening Powder is like the better thing to use. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is you can use a makeup remover. And hold on just a second. I saw something fall, and I think it was the makeup remover. So let me go grab that real quick. Okay, so this is what I used when I did the video where I believe I was trying to avoid some fallout on under my eyes. But this is like that DIY makeup remover. I believe this was it distilled water? I think some like non-alcoholic or alcohol-free, not non-alcoholic, but alcohol-free toner. And then I believe, what was the other thing in it? I'm trying to remember. Okay, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll have the recipe up there for you. So what you can also do is you can use something like this, and you can use like a brush, like a thicker brush. If I hadn't have already used this one, you know, you could have put it on there. But I'll just kind of demonstrate here. So you would put a little bit on there, just shake it, and then maybe squeeze a little bit. If you have like a plate or something, it might be better to do that. I'm just going to do it on my hand real quick. Just do like a little, and then do this. And then you can just dot it on your face like that. And then you can even take a tissue, because you're really trying to avoid disturbing your foundation underneath. And if you're just trying to take away some of the color, that's what you would do. So that's, you know, it's a little bit more complicated. I think it's simple enough, but again, if you end up being heavy-handed with putting this on, then you have to almost start over again with your foundation. And again, I really don't want you to have it to where you're having to layer on your foundation, especially if you prefer the nice, smoother skin. But pretty much, I think those are all the tricks that I have for applying mineral blush and like how to fix any mistakes that you have. I know that, you know, it's fairly probably one of the easier things to put on with eyeshadow. I think that's harder just because of the fallout. And we will have a video. I believe our next one we have either the next time or 2 next times. That is the topic we will have. Well, that's all we have for our mineral blush tutorial. And if you learned nothing else, just always remember to find the right brush and then apply in light layers, just using a few grains at a time. And that way you'll always have the most natural finish. Well, I'm so glad that you joined us today, and I hope I will see you in the future. So if you can like and subscribe, you can be notified of our future tutorials. We will see you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye. I am adored.